may have played poker, but playing poker in Texas is a different animal. This is the Texas Poker Podcast with Tyler and Clint.
Hello, this is the Texas Poker Podcast. I'm Tyler. This is Clint.
What's up, y'all?
And we are back with a new episode.
Yeah, a new episode. We did get some. Well, not we. I got some poker in. You were gonna play a tournament, but then didn't.
Yeah, real life scheduling issues stopped me.
Well, I guess I was gonna lead in not with like poker hands or anything like that. So there's a poker room that's giving a promotion. Like a VIP. The more you play, like the more, I guess, rake back, but not really rake back. You just get so much of your buy-in percentage. Like, I think 75 hours, it's 5%.
I mean, it sounds just like rake back.
Yeah, it's kind of what it is, yeah. It's a, and then,
but we don't call it that.
And then if you get yeah, we don't call it that, but
you get your time back.
If you play 100 hours in a month, you get a 10% back, and then if you get 125 hours in a month, it was 15%, which does not sound like a lot, but I think you can do the buy-in up to 500. Well, I mean, that does kind of add up a lot. If you're doing 500 like 4 times a week, if you're getting, let's just say the mid-tier, $50, that's $200 a week. That would be about $800 a month. So it was something I thought about doing because I'm pretty big on everybody. You're always going to look at poker courses and they're always going to talk about like, well, your range and all this and how to beat the game and everything like that. But part of it is also taking advantage of promotions like this I wouldn't say they're more important, but they are an important part of it.
Well, it's definitely something that like people talk about whenever you consider you have different ranges considering how big the rake is. If it's no flop, no drop, right? All these things come into play. So it would be the same as trying to find a game with a lower rake, right? Kind of thing. Like this isn't literally lowering the rake, but it's lowering your personal rake.
Yeah, well, exactly. It's you're always playing against the other players and the rake. So obviously when you learn poker strategy, we go over hands and maybe someone picks up something that they didn't know before, that would help that part of that game. But also, like you say, I mean, the rake is also your opponent as well. So the more you can reduce that, the more you can...
Well, but so let's talk about this, though. How many hours have you gotten this week now trying to do the challenge?
God, it's been rough. I got like 2 hours on Tuesday.
We're just knocking. So how many do we need to get?
I think I got like 4.5 maybe yesterday. So we're like at 6.5. I mean, you have to average, what is it? At least like 18 or 19 to get the lowest tier.
Man. Okay. So you need to average a week, 18 or 19, or a session. What are we saying?
No, not a session. A week.
Oh,
okay. I gotcha.
But, okay, so a week. And how many did you say you got?
So far I'm at like 6. Yeah. I mean, I'm going to play some Friday, but I think I'm going to be out of town for a lot of next week.
I mean, this challenge seems, you're going to take time off of work for this?
God, not a bad idea.
Because you're not even going to come close, right?
Well, I don't know. I
guess you play. Well, you're off 5 days a week though, so that does make a big difference. So,
well, not really. I'm working a lot at the second job as well. I mean, this is where like the poker work-life balance becomes like. I like this because it's forcing you to get the hours in that we need to get anyways. But
I want to do other things.
Well, here's the thing is I also, there's a chance like I might be playing because I know I might do a live stream next week as well. So that's hours that wouldn't be there. So it's like already, like maybe I shouldn't have started this challenge when I'm going to be gone for a week during it. So that was probably not the best of timing.
And you're going for the minimum tier? There's not one below this?
I would need to get 75 hours for the minimum tier. And that's all I'm going to get. I'm not going for like 100 hours or anything.
Well, 75. You got 6, so that's a start at least.
Well, maybe there's a couple where I can pull like a 12 hours in a day.
I mean, this is going to be so tough, man. But, I mean, it definitely adds a different element to playing poker. I mean, is there anything to be said to just, I don't want to say walking around the poker room, but, I mean, if you're clocked in, I mean, you could just...
I have seen people pull this quite a bit. Like, I've seen people, like, clocked in and then just kind of, like, leave the table for, like, a fairly extended amount of time. So there is that. Well, I mean, I'll tell you what, actually, that's probably something, not that I'm going to do a ton, but one thing that I miss about time games is, like, I would like to take, like, a break of, like, 5 to 10 minutes, like, once every 2 hours. And, like, during a time game, like, you can do it, and it probably is not the worst thing in the world. It's probably a good idea, but you are in the back of your mind. You're like, I'm getting raked as I'm doing this.
Oh, I mean, you're literally paying to stand outside of the building, or sitting in your car. Like, oh, no, 100%. But I was just thinking, well, I mean, because obviously you have to go to the restroom and stuff. I think they're not going to be, dragging you back to the poker table. But, I mean, I could see you maybe, instead of eating at the poker table, you could maybe eat at the bar, maybe?
Yeah, maybe so. That's, like, something like that might be a decent idea.
But I guess here's the point I was trying to get. That wouldn't even, I just randomly kind of thought of that as you brought it up. But it does kind of add a different dynamic to, like, the fun of playing poker. Whenever you have to be there for a certain amount of time.
Oh, well, it's hard to describe to people because I mean, whenever you describe it, you're like, I'm playing poker, which does not sound like work. When you say I'm playing, that does not like sound like, oh,
because you're never like, I'm playing dishwasher at, at whatever restaurant, or I'm playing bartender. It's like, no.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure if somebody asked me on the weekend, like, what are you gonna go do? I'm playing radiology tech. It sounds way more enjoyable than hell. I'm going to work. I'm going to work for insane amount of hours in 2 days. But it is. I mean, there's a reason as a poker community and a poker players you call it a grind, is because cash games definitely do feel like work sometimes.
Oh, I mean, I would say at least 80% of the time it feels like work. The other 10% of the time you're buying in, standing in line, cashing in and out. So it's about 10% enjoyment out of that whole thing. Oh, but I mean, that was like the one thing people like, you shouldn't play poker so much. It's like, oh, I'd love to stop. I mean, this is about the money at this point,
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of it. Like, I will say, like, I enjoy certain aspects. I enjoy, if it's a fun table, then that's nice. If it's short-handed, I tend to like a lot more. Like, if I could never play 9-handed poker again, I know everybody bitches when it gets to 6 or 7-handed, like, oh, we need to get more people over here. And I understand there's more money on the table, and it's probably better in the long run. But if I can give up a tiny bit of EV or money to play a more interesting game, I think I'd probably do that.
Wait. So here's some interesting topic. So it's probably more profitable the more hands you play, right?
Wait, the
So
more
for you,
hands you play?
like the more hands that you're playing correctly, right? It would be more profitable. That's why you show up early to a tournament, because you're involved in more hands.
Well, I'd say the more time you play, not the more hands you play.
Well, no, because the point I'm getting is, so maybe the 6-handed might be better because you're just involved more, because you should be, because it's shorter-handed.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it sounded different. It sounded weird. I didn't understand what you're saying. But I do think you are right. Like, if your edge is, you think you have an edge of your opponents, and like you say, you're playing more, then your edge is going to be increased. And they're playing more too, so if they have a negative EV against you, theirs is increased.
Right, so that was kind of more my point, is maybe it is more profitable to play 6-handed.
Yeah, it's definitely...
I mean, not like we have a say, like, hey, poker them, get these nerds out of here. I want to play with 6, but...
Well, I will say this, I think it's definitely in the time games, it probably is most definitely more profitable. In the rate games, it'd be a little rough because everything's up to a 10%, which means your pots on average are going to be smaller. Here's the thing: is in the six. If you were playing in the raked, especially what we are, you're actually should have a 3-bet or fold mentality.
In 6-handed or 9-handed, just in general, with the structure that they're raking?
No, and 6-handed. I mean, actually, 10%, maybe 9-handed, but definitely a 6-handed. Because 6-handed, even in online poker, your correct theory is, for the most part, 3-bet or fold. And you got to think, the online is raked way less than what we are. So that's actually a good topic you brought up. I really definitely need to look into like a 6-handed, because when I actually go over my charts and everything and what I'm doing, I do it from a 9-handed perspective and just start at the low jack for my 3-betting and everything. But if you are playing 6-handed, that would actually be correct strategy. So there's no flop, no drop, so you'd be decreasing the rake a crap load. And then here's the thing: is the pots you did play would be bigger, so over 100, you do get that rake reduction of anything over 100 is not raked at that point; it's capped. So that's actually a really good point.
Yeah, that was kind of my thought. Because you said it's more profitable 9-handed, maybe in the long run. I was thinking the opposite actually. But, I guess more profitable in the sense that the money's not getting raked off the table, maybe in that sense.
Yeah, I think it'd be close. Because at 9-handed, I think you need to play so tight, and almost no players do play that tight.
No one plays it as tight as they're really supposed to, right?
Oh, yeah. I would say this. One of the hands we're going to go over, I submitted into the forums for a red chip. That's where I go for kind of outsider advice and everything. And I got roasted over the coals because I was too loose of a play. And I don't even disagree. It's not even an argument.
Me and some of the dealers at Champions just call you the little nit. So, you think that's how tight you play? Everyone's playing even looser.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of my thing. It's like, sometimes I got to play just to, I constantly get told how tight one is nobody thinks I'm tight when it's probably 5 or 6-handed, but when it's a 9-handed table, I think everybody thinks I'm probably the tightest player there.
Oh, literally what we said is he's the little nit, but at least he's still in the tournament. So that was the talking point when you were on the TV.
I just knitted my way out there.
Yeah. I was like, you cannot lose if you don't play any hands. That's what he does. He doesn't play any hands.
I played 3 days. I got aces one day, kings one day, and aces the other day.
So, that's an interesting thought, though. But I would just say, it just really kind of eliminates the fun whenever you're having to hit measured time of being there.
Yeah, and like I said, and it's also, like I say, the work-life balance. Okay, you want to play poker, but everybody's got different responsibilities. The vast majority of us do not play poker for a living. So you're managing that with a job. You're managing that with relationships. Me, not so much. But but you're managing it with all other things you want to do. I don't want to give up working out. It makes me feel better. So but that takes away time that I would spend at a table. So, like I say, it's that work. It's a work-life balance, but more it's just poker life balance.
Absolutely, but I do hear you played 6 hours. So, you have any hands from that?
Yeah, I actually had 2, I think, fairly interesting hands. Let me get into my notes that I typed here, and we will go into it.
Because I folded everything, little nit.
Yeah, I had the 2 hands. I played for 4 hours, and these are the 2 hands I played in those 4 hours.
Yeah.
And weirdly enough, it's going to seem like I'm playing a lot of hands, because it seems so loose. So, I am on the button with 9-10 offsuit. Yeah. How nitty is this? 9-10 offsuit?
I'm like, this is the hand. We waited 4 hours for this premium. Cannot wait. Okay.
Couldn't wait for it.
This is the one that Reddit got to hear about that they all were upset about you?
Red chip. Yeah. Well, everybody thought it was a shitty pre-flop play, which it was. It's not even arguable. It's a 9-10 offsuit.
Okay, continue.
But it's limped. Okay, so the game that we're playing is a 1-2 with a bringing of 5. So small blind 1, big blind 2, but the minimum to call is a $5. It limps like 4 limps to me, I would say. I have 9-10 offsuit on the button. This is not a very aggressive table, so I believe if I overlimp here, I just see a flop for $5 95% of the time. We're pretty deep, effective stack of probably about 520. I call, and the small and big blind also call. The flop is King, Queen, Jack, Rainbow. So
no.
yeah, so it's a so I flop the straight, and a player leads for 15. There's a call for 15. I raise to 50.
I mean, were there any? It was unsuited board. Just
unsuited board.
Definitely raising. I like this.
What do you think about the raise size here?
I think it's all good.
So my theory here is it's a little small, but I flop pretty much a nutted hand.
Well, because you would think if you're someone who limped, like if you had, King 10, you probably think you're in great shape, right? Like you have top pair
with
the
open-ended.
I mean, that would be something. Some players might limp, or over limp with. I mean, if 9-10 offsuit is limping, that might limp. Any sort of pair I would think would be holding on, possibly.
Yeah.
Or like pair plus semi-draw or something.
Oh, 100%. So I'm not scared of a whole lot. Like anything under a 10 is basically a safe card for me. And really, for the most part, there's not even that many boats that can happen when there's this is a limp pot. So I did not think I needed to raise big. It goes around to the big blind, and he jams for like 160. I don't know. He seemed to be a guy who was just like kind of in screw it mode. I wasn't super scared here, but I also didn't love it. What did scare me is the guy who led for 15 then calls. I mean, I've got second nuts blocking the nuts, and this is just a call, but the action is pretty strong here. I mean, when I raise flop, get jammed on, and then there's a call. And here's the problem. There's no sets available. This is a limp pot, so kings, queens, and jacks are not available. So this has to be, like, kind of what you said, a king 10, like open-ended with a pair, or, like, 2 pair maybe, like, that would just limp in.
But, like, even, like, ace X, so like ace with a pair, doesn't really make sense in a limp pot either, though. So that's kind of more worrisome.
So, but like I say, it gets to me, and when you play 9-10 offsuit and you limp in and you flop a straight, you don't do it to start folding straights.
I mean, and you already bet 50, you said, right? So it's just 110 more to go?
Well, no, it's not 110. Well, to me, this is a jammer fold.
Oh, so you rejam here.
I jam here.
Okay.
He calls, and he has ace 10.
That is so sad.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know that I can do much. I did make an argument, like in the forum, like, could I get away from it?
I think it's one of those ones that I always say that, like, once you get here playing that, you've made the bed, now you're just tucked right on in. I mean, now you lay in it. I mean, it's kind of, I think once you flop what you flopped, pretty tough to get away.
Yeah, well, it's definitely tough, and I know this is going to sound to our audience very nitty, and
I mean, we call you the little nit. So
yeah, very nitty and very results oriented. But like the action is so strong after that. I mean, and with okay, we now know third nuts is not available, fourth nuts is not available, fifth nuts is not available. So I mean, it's very like when I jam here. What am I hoping to see?
Well, so we already said that him flat calling is super strong, right?
Yeah, him flat calling.
Did you ever think about calling instead of over ridiculously strong action going all in?
No, because I mean the SPR of the pot. I mean he jams. I'm not getting away from it, literally anything.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just trying to think of any way you could get away.
Yeah, I think once I call, I definitely don't think I'm getting away. I mean that'd be 170.
Well, how much did you have in your stack?
I had about. I think I started with effective stack probably about 500. It might have been a little bit more, 520.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well, because that would have been really strong. If you would have called the 100 more, then he jams for another, what would it be, like 350 on the turn? That would be really strong after the strong action. But
yeah, that you know what? So,
you see, guys,
go into that again.
if you only called and then he jammed turn,
Yeah,
maybe you have a shot at getting away. But I feel like anytime you get second nuts to nuts, you're just doomed.
I think once I'm getting, I mean,
Crazy
one
odds.
to 4 with second nuts blocking the nuts, it's going to get real hard to fold here.
Oh, I mean, 100%. But like I said, I mean, I'm trying to think of any
Yeah.
other way to change the result that I don't. I mean, nuts versus second nuts. I feel like most of the time the results are pretty much set, other than like they said, the pre-flop action.
Yeah, I mean, and was kind of the theory behind it. Someone said if the original guy who let out had jammed on top of that guy.
That's what I was thinking too. Then you could probably.
So, but I don't know. It's just one of those things where when the action is this strong, I'm not real certain what I'm hoping for. But I don't know. Like I say, you flop nuts or you flop second nuts, blocking nuts. It's kind of. I mean, like I say, it's really just a cooler. I'm just wondering if there was any way not to, especially on such a weird board that really doesn't hit a lot of strong. Like, there's not really a lot of strong hands here except for Ace 10.
That would limp, and even Ace 10's kind of a weird limp from that guy, but
I mean, they were limping so many crazily strong hands. I mean, I got.
that seems like the best way to roast you, is people just limp weak hands against you.
Oh, it definitely seems like the best way to roast me. It killed me in that little light tournament. It killed me in a couple hands in this one. I mean, none of them were interesting, but so I mean, I won't go into depth. But one, I attacked a whole bunch of limps with Ace 10. It was like 5-5-5-5, and I make it like 50 or 60.
I'm assuming not quads.
No, like every limp
Oh,
for 5.
they're saying the flop. I was like, Clint, you just listed 4 cards on the flop.
Yeah.
I was like, huh?
It's like I make it like 50 or 60 or whatever to go, and then one person calls. It becomes Queen Jack Jack. He checks. I'm like, this hits my range pretty good for attacking. I bet like a third pot. He calls, and then I'm pretty much done because there's nothing else out there. And he goes check down, and he's got Ace Queen that he limped under the. He limped.
I mean, so dangerous for him. But
Another one, I had pocket 10s. It comes around to me, limp. I raise it. Another guy then goes all in for like 70 or 80, which is going to be a snap call for me.
Oh, I mean, so easy. I mean, if it goes limp, and then you're raising any generally good size, it's an easy call.
Yeah, well, I mean, but this guy cold jams. He was the big blind.
No. But I'm saying if you already have that money out there, I mean, $70 compared to what your raise should be over limp, easy call.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I have the chip in my hand ready to call the guy to my right because everybody was just fold. And then the guy to my right, who limped, jams all in for $500.
Jesus Christ.
I'm like, how did it go from a $5 hand to a $500 hand?
So you folded then.
I ended up folding, and he had queens.
Yeah, see, the little net pays off.
Yeah. So, yeah, that was, I mean, I have run into some, I mean, just limp and strong hands tables. So that was the 9-10. Like I say, it was basically a cooler. This was also a hand I thought was kind of interesting.
Like, it was a super cooler.
Yeah.
Well, not basically. I couldn't even come up with a way that you don't get stacked. I was trying to think of any hypothetical to where it's okay that you might save a few bucks. But yeah, I mean,
I tell you what. You know how you save a lot of bucks? Don't play 9-10 offsuit.
Yeah, true. But you could not resist.
I mean, the nit in me is that's what I get for not being the true nit sell. So there's a bunch of $5 limps to me. I'm in the cutoff. I have ace queen off. I make it 20. No, there's only one $5 limit to me.
I was like, these clips, like, you want everyone to call? What's up?
I've made limps plural in my head. So I make it 20. The small blind cold calls, and everybody else folds. Flop is 4-4-3 with 2 hearts. He leads 15 into me.
Super weird. Do you have any hearts in your hand?
I have the ace of hearts in my hand.
It's a good card to have.
This is one of those, I don't know, I make it 20. There was already a $5, so it's about 45 in the pot. He bet a third pot bet. And this is not a bad flop for ace queen.
Oh, I mean, I'm definitely not folding.
So I make the call. Turn is a jack, and I'm like, well, this should slow down because this card's way better for me, I think. He leads 15 again.
Wait, 1-5, 15 or 50?
15, 1-5.
I'm just calling. Okay.
I'm glad you said, because I was kind of thrown by this. I did not.
How much did he make it on the flop?
He made it 15.
Okay, wait. Sorry. I thought you said 50, and then he's betting 15 on the turn. Like 5-0 on the flop. Okay.
No, he made it 15 on both.
Okay, wait. So let's start again. So how much did you make it pre-flop? 20.
I make it 20.
Call heads up, 40 in the pot. Well, plus some change. So like 50-ish in the pot probably.
Yeah, about 50 in pot.
Yeah. Okay, so he leads 15. Easy call for you, 15. Okay.
Correct. 4-4-3, 2 hearts. I have ace high. Seems like an easy call, really.
Yeah.
I mean,
15 again, another easy call, I think.
Is it an easy call? I almost folded here.
I mean, you probably should. You are called the little net. But, I mean...
Well, I mean, but it's 15 into 80.
Oh,
but,
no,
I mean,
no,
like,
I'm
I'm beating nothing here. But it's weird because I almost have odds just to draw to ace or queen almost.
That's kind of my thing. Kind of not a good card, though, to be holding the ace of hearts. And this time, because you kind of want him to have an ace. Or the flush draw.
kind of want him to have a flush draw, yeah.
Because then you could hero down with ace high, but...
It's one of those, he just makes it so small that I kind of don't know what to do here, so I make the call. I'd love to say that I had this was the plan the entire time, but I call the river's a 10 of hearts. He bets 30. I look down to make sure, like, my hand is, and I have the ace of hearts. I mean, if I have the queen of hearts, I'll probably make this play too. I have the nut flush draw. I have the nut flush draw here, I guess the nuts are the boats, but they're very unlikely. So with the ace of hearts, I'm like, he probably does not have the flush. I make it 110, and he tank folds.
Did he show?
He did not show. I get the feeling he probably had a pocket pair under a jack.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Which, I mean, makes it kind of a shitty call on my part on the, well, both. But
yeah.
that's what I got. Because that's exactly how you would play that hand. And, I mean, if he's got just a flush draw, I think he just folds immediately.
Yeah, I agree.
So
that was well played, at least.
Yeah, I did like that. I thought that was a good time to turn it into a bluff.
Yeah, I always have a hard time folding when they make it like the same bet. It's like I'm just getting better odds on this call now. But
yeah, it was real weird because it's weird when someone bets twice and you're pretty certain you're beat, but they're just getting.
Well, it's like when people bet like $5 or like the minimum or something. It's like, wow, okay, whatever. Kind of like it's 15's a little too much just to be considered a check, but. Definitely calling with, all sorts of random stuff.
Well, and also, like, and I know you probably shouldn't be going by this, but especially at these games, but it also makes me think of just how exploitable am I if somebody can just tiny bet when I miss and I fold.
I mean, you are called a little net, but I mean, that does sound super weak passive, though.
You know how hard it is to get roasted all day because I play too loose, and then come here and then also get roasted because I play too tight? I mean...
Maybe you're playing just right.
Maybe I am. It's very, very hard to get on a forum and be like, you dumbass. Well, I mean, obviously they're cool about it, but, I mean... The thought process is, you dumbass, for playing a 9-10 offsuit, and then, get a... And then I come here and play and get called a nit the entire time. Seems like I'm making nobody happy in these goddamn games.
Well, at least this 50% is not happy. But they're probably thinking like they get like that you pay for training and you're playing 9-10 offsuit.
Well, that's fair.
They're like, I didn't even know we were giving away subscriptions.
He's obviously not watching anything.
Yeah, anytime you got your promotion code on the bottom of a Pepsi cup, Pepsi can, yeah.
I'm all about a good deal. It's a so that was, but those were the two hands. I think those were fairly. I mean, I only got two hands, but I ended up being down like two. I bought in for 5. Had to rebuy after that 9-10 disaster for 340. I cashed out for I think 500, so it was a loss. But I'll tell you what, you flop second nuts to nuts.
It's gonna be a loss.
I mean, shit's gonna have to go real good for you to call it a good day.
Well, I mean, and to be fair, you did not play that many hours, so not like you had time for variance to even itself out.
Yeah, it's a so that's true. But that was pretty much it. The only thing else I was going to go on to is tonight is opening night of the NFL season.
I don't watch sports. I had no idea.
I just don't understand how you're a dude. I don't get it. I mean,
I can show you. But
our listeners like, thank God it's not a video podcast.
But continue.
I mean, I don't know how. But yeah, it's so I don't know. Like I do this pretty much every year, and I don't get anything out of it. But if you are into sports betting, there is a site called Better Edge, Bettor, not ER. And you can go and you make your own odds, and you play directly against people. And it's a lot like poker that you're playing against other people rather than the house. So I always suggest that.
So we'll talk about this for a second. So basically what happens is like you create a bet, then I can go on and kind of browse and decide if I want to pick up the other end of the bet.
Correct.
So you're not playing against the house. So you could put a bet out there and it not get picked up and you not have it's not a guaranteed bet.
100%. Yeah, you can go in there and you can pick up somebody else's bet and that would be guaranteed. But yeah, you can create one and like you say, you just hope that it gets picked up. Mm-hmm. But so it's kind of like it's a little bit, I would say, tougher than just going and making a bet with a house. But you're also getting way better odds.
Well, it's just you're just not guaranteed for it to get picked up. You said football and basketball is pretty much almost guaranteed if you make a reasonable bet.
Well, that's why I only bring it up during football season, because like most of the reasonable bets, like in football, almost always, because it's just there's so much of a volume. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I always suggest that. So I was thinking about doing. So there's 3 sites I've found, and I don't know if they're any good or not. Well, one I have used for a while, Action, and it's kind of been hit and miss. BetQL is another one, and then Sportsline is the other one. I thought about subscribing to one or a couple and just seeing, like, how I do throughout the NFL season.
So these are not betting websites?
These are not, like, sites where you place a bet. They're, like, kind of give different picks from
I thought
so-called experts. It might be a complete scam, but I don't know. If I can get it for $15 or $20 a month, I don't know. I've been scammed out of more than that, so...
I mean, 100%. So what are you proposing? You're just going to kind of use those sites, you think, to...
I don't know. It's definitely crossed my mind of, like, something to give it a shot. Well, I mean, if you could combine some, like, information like that with getting better odds, I kind of wonder if... I mean, I will say this. I have not been profitable sports betting. So if I give you a pick, at no point should you follow my advice.
Oh, I mean, I don't think you should even give out picks.
I mean, that's how we lose all our listeners.
Yeah, I'm like, definitely don't give out picks. I've seen the history of the sports betting, but they definitely take your money on that website, so you can go there if you want to bet.
Yeah, it's so I don't know, but but I don't know. Like I say, I do think doing it at the best odds, so you either lose the least or maybe be a winner. I mean, I do think it is possible to win in sports betting. I just haven't figured out how. I'm still looking for ways. I'm still scanning ways that maybe I can do it one day.
That's funny. Well, it is kind of cool though that, like we said, Louisiana now has sports betting. You can do sports betting in Vegas, so that's pretty cool.
I really want to go and check out some of the sports books. I have seen the Golden Nuggets. The Golden Nugget sport book looks pretty cool.
Oh, I've been there. I didn't place any bets, but I mean, it was so nice. It was so cool looking too. It was right in front of the poker room.
I was so impressed with their sports book, and I was so annoyed with the poker room when I went there because you have this super nice sports book, and then the poker room is literally right next door, but there's a wall in between, so you get none of you can't watch the TVs in the sports book. You don't get any of the ambiance of the sports book or any of that. I'm like, I mean, there's people making probably thousands upon thousands of dollars making these decisions. How in the world is this one?
Oh, you're saying just kind of they could create a better atmosphere. It's kind of the thought.
Yeah. Oh,
I mean, kind of like how Bellagio has it, right, where you can see out and kind of see this whole sports book right over there.
Speaking of which, this is super sad.
Like you see, like you give no fucks about my Bellagio, but go ahead.
Well, no, because it kind of ties into it. Do you remember playing at Caesars in Vegas, the sports book?
Yeah,
not the sports book, the poker room.
Yeah.
But how it's like right there next to the sports book, a lot like Bellagio. Like they just closed down that poker room, and apparently they're moving it to another location.
Wait, they closed down the Caesars poker room?
The Caesars poker room.
That's so sad. It was in such a cool location.
I was so distraught. Like somebody told me that today, and I was like, man, because like I would say it's not my favorite poker room, but for location of like people watching, because Omnia nightclub is right there. For like the sports book, like I mean, all the gigantic TVs are kind of like right there. It was one of my favorites because of just like kind of where it was in the environment, and I was like, I'm not the Horseshoe. I wasn't thrilled with on their new poker room, so it's one of my. And there are rumors that it might not even come back, the poker room at all, but it's pretty much for certain if it does come back, it's going to be a different location. So I was kind of so sad to hear that.
It makes you so like curious. It's like, how much more money does having slot machines there make them? Must just be like infinite.
Well, someone like that's what Scott had said to me, because he's the one who told me about it, and I was telling him, I'm like, I understand slots are more profitable, but I never go to a casino and not see 700 slot machines that are not being used. So I mean, like. Every casino I go to, the poker room is constantly running. I'm like, you're going to, because it's not, like, yes, I understand if a slot machine is running 24/7 and getting a ton of action, it's more profitable, absolutely. But if you already have 300 slots that are only being used 15% of the time, then how in the world is how that's more profitable than poker room? I just don't get it at all. I mean, unless your poker room's taking a loss, which I tell you what, they might not be making the most money in the casino. I don't think any of them are taking a loss, though.
Oh, no, 100%. Super sad. I mean, because like both of us say, it's always one of the rooms that we like to play at when we go.
Yeah. So yeah, super, super sad about that, because like during COVID and all that, we've lost a lot of the poker rooms that Planet Hollywood wasn't my favorite, but it was enjoyable. Like, in the right mood, it was one of my favorites. Flamingo, not one of my favorites, but I did stay at Flamingo a lot. It was nice to have a poker room there. So it's kind of lost a whole bunch. So I'd really hate to see that one either lose it or be downgraded. So
they might just be upgrading it. Who knows?
Well, I'm sure it'll be nicer because it'll be newer wherever it's at. It's just that location is what that location is what made it one of my favorites. And I always think the dealers are pretty good at Caesars too.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, the other sports books, the Horseshoes look kind of cool. I saw it just at a glance, in the 3 days after it opened or something.
Okay, I don't remember. I'm sure I saw it, but I don't remember seeing it.
We were in Vegas. Horseshoe back in Lake Charles for everybody. I kind of jumped a little bit. I have not, because Shada has always been one of my favorite casinos in Louisiana. And they have a sports book, and I've yet to see it at all. So.
Oh, I haven't been there at all since they made sports betting legal in Coshada. That would be kind of cool to see. I bet you they redid. Bet you that's awesome, huh?
Yeah, I bet it is. So, I mean, like, Shada seems to do everything really well, as far as I know. So, during NFL season, I definitely want to take a trip up to, like, Louisiana and just, obviously, I'm going to play poker, and that'd be a huge part of it, but also just kind of maybe bet some of these games and then watch them in the sports book. I always think that's a lot of fun.
I'm like, shoot, if anything, send Clint your picks.
Yeah, I mean, 100%. I tell you what, if you don't know jack shit about football, send me some picks, and I'm pretty certain you will take me for the next. Yeah, it cannot hurt me. I will say that.
All right. Well, on that note, this concludes the Texas Poker Podcast. We'll talk to you next week.
That was the Texas Poker Podcast. Go ahead and rack up, add time, and we'll see you next week.